Hello and welcome to Raymies Garage. We haven't had a wee video on for a week or two because, well, we've nothing to fix, so we don't just generate things to fix. But here we are today with apprentice Pat's car, which is the L405 4.4 TD V8 autobiography, and we are having some problems with this car. It seems to be stalling and stuttering, and we changed the crossover valve and intercoolers, then we changed the turbo valve on the secondary turbo, and it's still jittering, and we now have an EGR code, and Pat will tell you what code that is. So we are changing the EGR valve and the EGR cooler to see if we can solve this problem. So let's get into that and we'll take you along with us. I need to dig away down here, take everything off, and we'll take the cooler and EGR valve off, and hopefully that'll solve the problem. What's your thoughts?
Yes, I'm hoping it'll solve the problem because I'm getting a code P0401 which is saying insufficient air via EGR valve. So I'm assuming there's so much soot in it that it's restricting the airflow, right, and it's causing the car not to run properly.
Okay. Right, that's where we are. I've got the EGR valve there. We bought one second hand, and we'll show you that now, where we got that for you and what we're doing with that. We've bought a new EGR and EGR cooler from eBay, which is reasonably priced. It's quite a chunky item. That sits where the oil cooler sits in here. So we did have a couple of wee disappointing issues with this pipe. If I can use my camera right, this pipe has broken off in transit because the pictures on eBay didn't show that. It showed that working, or that intact, so obviously it's sticking out, it's maybe not wrapped properly, and it looks like that housing from this small actuator arm has all cracked. So hopefully when we take it out of apprentice Pat's car, we'll be able to replace that bit there, because it just looks like a wee plastic plate with a gasket in it. So that's not too bad, and I think that's just the housing of that valve. I'm not 100% sure, but we'll get that off and see. And I think that's like an air vacuum in there to operate this small lever. So the plan is to take this to bits, get familiar with it, see what we can do, see what gaskets we need to repair it. Now we're going on the assumption we think that the one on Pat's car is broken, so he decided he's going to buy this and fit it to see if it makes any difference to that kind of a delayed chugging he gets every morning. So it's another wee job, and once we take the one off apprentice Pat's car, we'll just keep that and we'll tidy it up. So I'm not going to video everything I'm going to do. I'm just going to start taking it off, and if I come across anything interesting, I'll bring these back and we can have a look at it. Taking some bits off, I'll come back to that in a minute. So I've got the pipe off, oil separator. As I say, this wee vacuum actuator broke. The wee cover off for that, and we'll split it in two. We did take this off, but I'll put it back on now. The bolt's loose. I'm putting all the bolts back in so I know where they go. So here is our first look inside the EGR valve, and I'll get my wee screwdriver. We'll see how carboned up that is. You would expect that. It'd be interesting to see the difference between this and apprentice Pat's. I'm just going quite easy on that. I take it that's the wee valve that flaps. Yeah. So it is pretty dirty. Let me try and get a torch in there. We'll get the gasket off here. These look like the coolant passages from both ends. there, so cooling looks as if it goes in there, blah 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 out there. So yeah, there we go. That I need to have a look at this. I think that in essence is the EGR valve, and that is the cooler. It sits with it. So I think what's happening is the gases are going in through here. The EGR cooler's cooling the gases down before it goes back into the engine again. Right, so we've got a wee bit of light there. So this is the EGR valve, and I'm going to put that light down. Just stick it in that way. Let's see. And this is the wee flapper opening. That's operated by the wee cam here, which is a vacuum driven valve, so it's pretty free. So plan is Mr. Muscle, so I'm going to just try and spray this, let it lie maybe overnight. So it needs to go in that side, in here. This is the actuated valve as well, so let's go for a wee spray. Bit down there. I'm going to turn that valve. Probably got most of that, maybe not got the back end yet. Right, so I'm going to just let that sit. I'll get my wee brush at some point and we'll get that brushed up. Hopefully that'll clean off. I might leave that for a couple of hours, maybe get another couple of blasts in there, and we'll come back and we're cleaning that and we'll see how clean we can get it. So that wee bit of time lapse there was just drilling that out. I kind of geared it off centre a wee fraction there, but it's generally okay. So that's that. I've gave it a bit of clean, so I'm just going to carry on cleaning it. I just wanted to get that done. I've taken the actual solenoid off here, and I've checked that this little part moves in here, so there's a piston in there that moves. This solenoid moves back and forward just to slide that valve back in and out, so it goes like something like that. Let me see, can't remember. I'm sure we'll remember how to put it in. There you go. And our 4 bolts go in there, so I'll just stick them in there now, because you know what it's like, you get these bolts and you can't figure out where they go. So it's a rule of thumb, if you take a bolt out, stick it back in the hole. Good practice. There you go. I've lost one already, but I'll find it somewhere. But anyway, I shall carry on cleaning. There's wee bits and pieces to do. I have got it quite clean in there now. There's just the outside it I want to do and tidy it up a wee bit. And we'll come back once we've done that. I think that's probably the best I can do to the EGR valve. These are the coolant pipes here, and that one goes to that one goes to that one, so cooling all that in there. But inside it looks reasonably clean. If I can just get my light in there. Yeah, it looks pretty clean in there. Pretty clean on the other side, but I'm happy with that. Wee flapper valves, fine. Through this end here is all clean. So I don't think I'm going to get it any more clean than that. Considering what it's going to go into, within weeks this will be covered in soot and dust. So I'm going to put that away. I will test this solenoid after, just to make sure it's all nice and free. But then I'll get on to the actual cooler itself, which we'll come to next. EGR cooler This is the heat exchanger part of it. I just started blowing some dust out it. Mother of mercy, better do that outside. Right, this is where we are. We've got the plenum chamber off. It doesn't tell you that in the workshop manual to take the plenum chamber off. But the EGR, that's the vacuum actuator down there. So the next plan is we'll slacken that, let some oil drain back down into the sump. And we'll start to get these coolant pipes off, because we need to get all that off there. And that wiring harness at the back will come off quite easy. So we're down about, it's like digging a hole, isn't it?
Yeah.
Down a couple of feet. So we need to start taking coolant pipes and stuff off out the road. And we'll need to get the oil cooler out. So we want to try and get all these coolant pipes off. They'll just pop off at the back till we get to the bolts to the oil cooler. Onwards and upwards.
Right, not black. Because it disappears.
Right, this is where we're at. I've got all that coolant gear off down there. And the apprentice Pat's just trying to take the oil feed pump out of the oil cooler. Line across the engine. See if he can get it with a wee ring spanner.
You can't get it.
See, you can't
You can't even get that in there.
You're not getting that in there. Well, I'll come back to that in a second, but one of the problems we had, is all the bits, was when we took this off. That's cracked there, so we need to get a new one of these, because these nuts won't come out. There they are. So that's all the bits so far. I'm going to have a wee go at this to see how we can get this out. Now you're saying to me that you reckon that'll lift off of there? Oh look, there's another bolt, Patrick, you missed that one. Just going to let that coolant run out it. Does it come out the other end now?
No, it's only coming out that pipe, sorry.
So that is the oil cooler. £1,000 to get that replaced in a garage. And there's the gasket in there, see it?
Oh, the gasket sits in the recess.
Aye, so it's not too bad actually, I can feel it.
Aye. No signs of leaking. Coolant.
No, it doesn't look as if much of leak. A wee bit of silent oil here,
Aye.
where that oil feed pipe goes in.
Alright. So do you actually put the wee bolt back in there?
Aye. Need a bit of hose. Right, you can be the punkawalla. Come on.
I've been the punkawalla and the cameraman at the same time.
Where did the punkawalla come from?
8.5 of them.
That's right. Right, so we're about to try and take this bit out. So this is what we can see on the car. We've just taken the 3 wee bolts out there. So it looks like there's 1, 2, 3. I think that's a 4th, a 5th. On the left side. 1, I think there's 2 there. So I'll start for that corner. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the other question is, so that's sitting there like that, but I just hold it up against that part like that. So that's obviously got bolts in there as well. We need to take this out. This is where we helicoiled that. What's that bolt there?
That was for the bracket at the back.
Okay, so we can see the actuator sitting over here, can't we?
Yeah, the actuator's here.
Aye.
It goes on here.
So we probably need to take these bolts out, the 2 bolts out, and the ones that are holding the whole thing, and then lift the whole thing out.
This leads to the pipe that goes back into the...
So it does. That's the round pipe that goes back into the inlet.
Back into the
So that'll come with it.
Aye.
It's just these 2 here, and the danger is that one's stripped.
Yes.
Obviously it came like that, and we had to helicoil that, so we better maybe spray them with WD before we start tamper with them. This has obviously got a plug on it as well, the actuator, and there'll be a hose on that.
That sits there like that.
That'll sit there under that bolt. So where's the hose pipe?
There, it's in there.
So it's coming through the top. Right, okay, let's get back to the car. Now that we understand that, but obviously under here we've got the oil separator, which will be that bit there. It sits underneath that.
What is it?
It actually sits like that, I think. So if you turn that whole thing upside down, the cooler, you can separate that. Yes. So I think that port fits in there like that. So that's what the bolts are for, and the pipe here. So the 3 bolts are in there, obviously holding that in place. That'll need a new O-ring, and then that slot's in there. I don't know if that's got a seal on it. No, it's just in there like that.
It's an O-ring on it.
Aye, it's the old one. So that'll probably come out with it. So nothing else holding that on. Right, back to the vehicle. So there are the 2 bolts that Apprentice Pat's going to spray.
Where are they?
They're there. There. And the one to the opposite side of it. Let's see how far away you can spray it. Let's see. So that comes off, and this pipe here's got to come out. This pipe should come with it, although we can maybe bungee cord that up. I think Pat will do that before we start. So one of the things we're going to coin a phrase, do while we're in there, is this EGR sensor. I think it's A, is it?
Sensor A, yeah.
Which always has a problem and always throws a code. So you take the glove box out, and we'll take the fuel filter out to give us access in there. And let's see what we've found. So I'll take you deep in here. This down here is the sensor. Hopefully I'm pointing that in the right direction. It's hard to see. And this is the connector for it. If you look on that connector, one of the wires are broken. The wee looks like brown and white, or white and red, I can't really see here. But that wire's actually broken before we even touched the sensor. So we're just trying to get that out. You can see here, like, that wire's completely off within the loom, so we'll need to rewire that. I wonder if I can pull that sensor off, or the connector off. If you want to just hold that a minute, Pat. I know you might not be able to see very much.
So it's broken at the loom end?
It seems to be, aye.
Rather than, if it was broken at the sensor end, we could just replace the sensor, would come a new connection.
Just trying to, I'm pulling against myself now. So that's the wee, it's a purple or a pinky wire, look. It's broken for the loom end. This end in my hand is the actual sensor. So
that's a mystery.
And it looks strange at the back of that. Look, it's kind of sealed.
Oh, aye, so it is.
So, don't know how we're going to go to that. That's one of the jobs that we need to not forget. Right, so we're nearly there. Get the EGR valve out. We need to make sure we take this fuel rail off because it's catching just in that corner there. So Apprentice Pat's doing that now. That's a wee job that he can cope with. We've got a new visit of the day, Apprentice Joe. He's come to observe because he's hornless.
That's not the real reason. Can't see the real reason, can I?
So once we get that fuel rail off,
That's the fuel rail off.
remember the connection at the back of it, Pat. We should be able to lift the EGR valve out. Right, let's see if we can lift it out now. We'll get it up here. Oh, it's that bracket there that's holding it on, see it? Right, we should be able to lift it out now. Watch any cables on that, Joe. And that's it out, so these wee bits we're catching at the back. There's all your gear in there, Patrick, so to make sure, look how dirty that is in there.
You got a toilet, so we put it in there.
Aye. Right, so I've got it out now to dismantle it to see what's wrong with it. Right, so here we've got Apprentice Pat's EGR. This is the one we have purchased, and these are the actuators for the electrical actuators for the EGR. So what we understand is that exhaust gas is going in there, this valve opens. You can probably not see in there. There we go. So the valve opens and allows the exhaust gases into the EGR, and there's a wee flapper here that goes in and out the cooler, goes into the engine, etc. So this valve here, let's see if we can see that. You can basically go back a bit, Pat, we'll see you get it. So if you push that, you can see the valve opening and shutting. So this actuator sits in there and opens and shuts that. So that's the old one. Not the old one, the one that we purchased second hand. This is the one we've just taken off. It's a wee bit more carbon in there, see it? And this one here is absolutely jam solid, we can't move that. Look, and it's stuck, see it?
So we opened that wee fraction out, it's stuck.
So it's stuck there.
It's not sliding.
That's knackered. I'll try and push that back in again. That's rammed. So that might be the cause of your chugging and your fault code, which was, can't remember, you remember?
P040100.
Right.
Insufficient airflow through the EGR valve.
So that's what that'll be, that's stuck. So I wonder if you can actually take all that. I think you can actually take that.
You can take that section off there.
Section. We'll do that at some point. So we're going to go for that, but the thing we need to do is to make sure that these actuators are actually working.
So we reckon that the two...
There's nothing in that. Put the other one up there, Pat. So hold that up like that. You can. So that's working. So that one's not. So the second hand one, I'll just switch that power off. The second hand one seems to be jammed or bumped out.
So try it again.
Just put it all off.
Oh, sorry. Just when I'm holding it in my hand to see if it...
Oh, you can feel it buzzing. Nothing.
No.
And we do have power.
So that one's goosed.
We update where we are. So we're rebuilding the second hand EGR and EGR cooler, although we've tested that electric motor to actuate the valve. This is from Apprentice Pat's car. The other one's actually seized solid, which is behind there. So it's not, that physically won't turn, and we had that bit off and there's a wee bit broke inside it, so we're hoping that this will be fine. The valve's free in here, but we're putting power to that. We can't get that to move the valve, so we don't think we've got enough power on a wee stupid battery charger. So EGR's connected to the cooler. Again, this is the one from Apprentice Pat's car. We've just tested there. We'll just do that again, just to make sure it's working. We've lubricated this in here. So there's the vacuum hose that will go on there. Let's go. So that's working fine, all lubricated. So, and we've got this pipe back on again, torque to spec. These are only about 12 or 10 Newton meters, and we've got this as a new coolant pipe. We've got that ages ago. So I'm just trying to think what we do next to get it into the vehicle. Right, so I think we're ready to put the oil cooler back in. Not the oil cooler, EGR cooler, which sits here, and we've tidied all that up. There's quite a bit of debris in there. Tidied up all the, it looks like walnuts. Well, walnuts you get. Right, aye, so that gasket goes on then, and the oil is separated.
See what it says 6? Is it that bit? So anyway, so if I wound it up, for example,
that's 6.
So that's 6.
No, keep going. Right, 6.
So that's 6. When it gets to that bit, isn't it? So it's halfway there.
So that's 0. That's 7.
Right, okay.
I mean, they're not tightening anything down. They're just, well, not as a seal or anything. It's just a hold you down.
That's it.
Right, so that's that torqued, that gasket's on here. All we need to do is get that back in there, and we'll use this as a wee guide. I can't remember the name for it. The name's gone for the
dowel.
A dowel, that's what it is. So that dowel is over there. Looks like there, isn't it? Aye, okay.
Then there's one there at the back left.
Back left, so there is. Right, okay. So if you remember, this was the cable that goes to the EGR sensor, which is a way down here, and one of the wires had popped out, so we managed to put that back in. We checked it for continuity, we split the cables here and just joined it, undone the loom a wee bit, so we're just redoing that again. We've checked it all, so it should all be fine. So the question is that sensor actually alright? And it was the cable that was causing the problem. Here's my theory on it, is what we should do. I think we should just plug it back in the way it was, because if you really want to do that sensor, all you've got to do is to take out the fuel filter.
It might be worth trying
just
that
to try, rather than wrestling with that sensor down there, because it is a bit of a bear to get out. You have to cut the cable, it's half a shift. So I would put it all back together. If it still doesn't work and we still get that fault code, we take out the fuel filter, and it's down here. I can nearly touch it with my hands. It's in there.
You can come back and do that.
And come back and do that.
You might end up doing it unnecessarily.
Yeah, but we thought we'd repair that before we put the EGR valve and cooler back in again. We'll just tidy it up with a wee bit more tape. So while we're just thinking of our best strategy here, the biggest problem we had was down here at the back of that crossover pipe. Getting your hand down in there, hence the sleeves on, and taking these bolts off here from the back, and there's another couple in there. I think Pat's dropped 2 or 3 sockets down there, which we'll try and recover once we get the car started and off-road height and take the tray off. And there's also a socket down here. That must have been me that dropped that. But aye, that was the biggest challenge, is behind that crossover pipe, getting your hand down there. Complete nightmare, all bruised. But it is challenging, but right, let's see if we can get it in. We've got it back in, and if you're doing this yourself, there's a wee bit of a secret to doing this. In actual fact, you better put it in that way, sitting it down, sliding it, drops down and goes straight back in again. So what we're going to do now is this pain in the arse bit at the back. I think this is the bag for it.
Keep all the bolts from the back, bolt side.
So that bit goes through the long part of it, the 2 bolts at the long, and bolt at the top and bolt at the back. So we'll bolt that back up again, then we'll put the bolts down and bolt that in. Make sure the gasket's in the right position, which it looks like okay now. And I think they're only torqued down to 10 Newton meters, these bolts down here. Right, let's get on with it then. So this bit here, if you're changing your EGR cooler on valve, is the oil feed pump to the oil cooler. Just that there, and there are two wee O-rings on that, and it's quite prone to fail. So we're going to change the O-rings. These are the two that came off. Apprentice Pat said he didn't break that, and it was like that, but I doubt it. However, and these are ones we've bought BS6115 for that specifically. And you can actually see they're a wee bit heavier, the name. So we'll get the rings on, we'll put a wee bit of silicone grease on them, and we'll pop that back in again. Yes, all progressing nicely. So we've got the oil cooler in, all screwed down top to spec, all the pipes at the back in, all the wiring loom at the back all fixed. So we're just about to put in the thermostat housing down here and all the pipes that go along with that. So we're not far away from being nearly finished with this, but that all looks quite good. We've been very careful with hoses, seals, gaskets, just to make sure nothing's going to leak. So not far away. We've got the plenum chamber on, all the bolts on, got these all tightened up. I'll just tighten up that EGR pipe into the inlet, and we won't be far away if we fire it up just to see if the actual chug-a-bug fires and goes. So we'll come back to you when we're ready to start. There you are, this part dropped a socket again. Every sticking day. Right, we're all back together again. Just that cowling to put on at the back, but I'm more keen to see if it'll actually start. So we're going to stick some coolant in it because we lost quite a bit of coolant, although the car will start without coolant. But, easy way to get that, apprentice Pat is. But everything's connected, we think needs to be connected. All the clips, cables, hoses, pipes, fuel rail, EGR. So we'll get some coolant in it, then we'll fire it up. Right, we're ready to try it. He's going to cycle the ignition a few times just to get the fuel filter. Ignition on. So it's running, that's the main thing. Right, so here we are the next day. I'm back at this hose. So we ordered some O-rings for it. These might be slightly small because we couldn't get the right ones. These are 50 outside diameter, 42 inside diameter with 4mm stick. So we think they might be thick enough just to make a seal on that. So we're going to pop out this tube. Let's get rid of these hoses, I think, first part. And we're going to try and see if we can get that one out of there. So if you hold that, I'll get that wee pick you had. Right, so these are the O-rings here. So these are the O-rings, that's the old ones. So these are a wee bit shorter. And we're hoping they've just got enough expansion on them to make the seal. So it should. So right, there's a wee bit slack. Right, let me go to you, go to my right. So they're kind of just sitting there. Put that down. That was solid. That's a much better fit. Right, so finally back. Finally got it going. Managed to get a seal to fit that. So there's no leaks in there. That's where we had the leak. So we put a new O-ring in here and a new O-ring in there. Now the apprentice Pat has got the OEM for original parts for that, the O-rings, but it's sealed, and I'm just trying to bring it up to temperature. So I'm going to go in the car and see what we've got. Right, so we don't have any low coolant warnings. I've got the fans all going as hard as they can, and it's now nice and warm. I'll just go back to, this is Prentice Pat's new screen for its HVAC. So I've got it on high, seems to be running okay. Right, so I've got it all fixed. I've got Apprentice Pat back, and we're going to go for a test drive. Everything seems to be fine. If we go any slower, we're going backwards.
Go slow deliberately, because this is where you get the problem. Oh, smooth.
So there's no jittery. The temperature gauge is just quite low, so that does manifest that problem when it is low, the temperature, or the car's cold.
It's when I'm just tickling the throttle, like I'm getting a response where I didn't before.
Right, okay, that's a good sign, I suppose. So that was an epic job. In effect, that actual job took us about, well, we all did it 1 day a week, about 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
And we did get stuck on that rubber O-ring that delayed us a wee bit. Here we are now. See if we got any restricted performance or any other issues. RPM, and it's no restricted performance, seems to be working.
I'll just turn here, you think?
Aye, just turn here. I suppose you'll not know till you start it tomorrow and drive it.
It's cold. I'll do that again, right?
Fear driving at that speed, isn't it?
Aye, especially in these wee roads. I don't mind out in the motorway. I just, you feel like somebody jumps out in front of you, you know what I mean?
Well, that's that. Very successful. Seems to be running really well. So that was the genuine problem there, was that EGR valve was sticking. We've got a new EGR valve and cooler in it. Took us a bit of time, but hope you enjoyed the video. That's it for this one, guys, and we'll catch you on the next one. Cheers for now.